Hey everyone, Bob here from 1 Foot in the Grave of Weight. Been a while. I'm back, at least temporarily. Let's go over what's been keeping me from getting back on the road. Take a break, be right back and explain.
Shut up and sit down.
I was getting ready to get back on the road, start heading west and south. I noticed that I was having a problem with the steering on my truck one day. It would come and go, and then finally it just started getting worse and worse. Pretty much diagnosed it as power steering pump, swapped that out. No videos, didn't get any video of it again. Like I said, it was just too hard to see down in the engine compartment, too crowded, couldn't get a good look at it. It was a pretty easy procedure, 2 bolts on the pump and then getting the pulley on and off. Got that changed out. 2 days later, battery died, so had to go buy a new battery. That was super simple, swapped that in, no big deal. Then I was heading over to pick up my trailer one day, or at least finish getting it ready to hook up. Somebody pulled out in front of me, slammed on the brakes, started noticing that I had a slight grinding sound coming from one of them. Checked the front pads that were the easiest to check, those all looked good. And then looked at the back pads and they were completely worn out. Got a hold of Summit Racing, ordered a set of PowerStop Z36 pads and rotors. Put those on, they're really nice. It's a drilled slotted rotor with bits of carbon fiber pads. Had them on other vehicles, they work really well. And with the drilled and slotted rotors, work just amazing. Finally got trailer hooked back up, made it about 150 miles from where I was staying. Started getting some really weird knocking, blowing sounds from the engine. Got out, looked, and found 2 of the rear studs on the driver's side manifold broken. So we were leaking a lot of exhaust out of the head on that side. So there's a little bit better look at it. You can see that the stud on the back broke off. The heat shield's flopping around. And on the head there, you can see where exhaust is coming out. I drove it a couple miles to get to where I could get pulled over in a parking lot because I was on the side of a really narrow 2-lane road. Was able to get a hold of my brother. We got the truck and trailer towed back to his place. Started looking at it and found not only the driver's side exhaust manifold gasket having a problem, but the entire passenger side gasket was blown out, all 4 cylinders.
The passenger side head is pretty ugly. I had no idea at this point why it had done what it did. I had just changed the gasket and manifold about 18 months ago. It shouldn't have done this.
Started looking a little bit more and found that at some point the exhaust system was replaced from basically the Y pipe back. What should have been a 2.5-inch single exhaust was neck down to 2 inches. So you lose so much flow there, creates a lot of back pressure. Towing the trailer, even more back pressure as the engine's working harder. Pretty sure that's why all that blew out. Went ahead and changed the exhaust manifold on the driver's side because it was warped. All right, like I had said, I had gotten the new bolts and gasket and wound up pulling the old manifold off, which didn't take very long. When I got done, put a straight edge on this exhaust manifold. I don't know if you can see, let me see if I can get in here a little bit more. But there's a gap right there on this manifold. These 2 are in the same plane, but on both ends it's kind of warped a little bit. So I wound up looking online, was able to find one locally. When I got it last night, and we're gonna get ready to set it back on. All new studs, new gaskets on both sides, and decided that since I have to replace the exhaust from the Y pipe back anyway, and the truck had almost 200,000 miles on it, it was time to just replace the down tubes with new catalytic converters, everything. So from the engine back, it is now a dual exhaust 2.5-inch with a 3-inch pipe going into the muffler, and then it splits back out into dual exhaust. Was really hoping that was going to take care of most of the noise coming out of the truck. Turns out it didn't. What it did do is we were getting so many sounds that weren't rhythmic that we couldn't really tell where the problem lied. or was laying. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of things that we're going to check. Pretty sure I know what the problem is. Really hope it's not the problem I think it is. But we'll go ahead, get the truck started up so you can hear it and cringe. Let's see how bad it is. All right, so we've got the top plastic piece of the air intake off because I'm going to be using a mechanic stethoscope to poke around a little bit. For you, those of you unfamiliar, machinist stethoscope works just like a regular one. Put it in and you go around and touch various areas of the engine to see if you can isolate where a noise is coming from. Let's take a listen and see what this sounds like. Well, not good. Not good at all. I'm going to do a little poking around with a stethoscope again, just to see if I can hopefully find it something else. But I've got a real suspicion that it's a rod bearing. So one way to confirm that, because I have gone around with stethoscope already, the place I hear it the loudest is in the oil pan. So that tells me it's probably the bottom end of the engine. Weird thing is I can't really hear it through the block anywhere, which I would kind of be able to, I would expect to hear a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drain the oil, cut the oil filter open, and look for little pieces of metal. And if there's little pieces of metal, screwed. Either have to rebuild the bottom end, which isn't really worth it with 200,000 miles on it, or spend the money for a reman long block. I think what we're going to do is drain the oil and take a look at it. The really loud banging that you could hear when I kind of revved it up a little bit, that's really coming from the bottom end. So luckily just did an oil change about 300 miles ago. So we're going to drain the oil again, pull the filter like I said, cut it open, and look for little chunks of metal. Well, there we have it. Definitive proof. Rod bearings junk. Time for a reman engine. See all the nice little sparkly stuff in there. It's all bearing material. Well, folks, that's it. I guess it's time to get a reman engine on order. It's gonna be a bit before I'm back on the road. Hope you guys have a good day.